Destination Talk. I'm John Paz. This is episode 48.
And I am Harry, and we are coming to you from Stellar 19 Studios, located at 750 Route 34 in Matawan, New Jersey. And today we are joined by Austin Culp and a few of his athletes. We were surprised to have a few of them on the show as well, so we'll get a little bit into their mindset. Austin, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time. How are you today?
I'm well, brother. Thank you for having me.
So can you give it, for those who don't know who you are, and us included, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and and what gets you going down there?
Yeah. So my name is Austin Culp. I own Culprit Athletics. We are two gyms in Dalton, Georgia and Ringgold, Georgia. And we do gymnastics. We do trampoline and tumbling gymnastics, and we have a speed school. We've got, 5-year-old preschool gymnastics all the way up to elite tumblers.
That sounds great.
So can you talk a little bit about the speed aspect of your training?
Sure. So we are the only gymnastics club in the U.S. that is also a Parisi speed school. And it is foundational in how we train and our ability to stay what we call injury resilient. So most gymnastics, their careers are ended by injury. And I want my gymnasts to have a long career, and I want them to stay explosive, and I want them to stay healthy. So all of my athletes, they can attest to it. We train speed and we train strength on a weekly basis in addition to our gymnastics. And that is in our speed school, not in the gymnastic session.
Being familiar with the Parisi Speed School personally, what stood out to you about their program, and why was it that you brought it in?
Well, the 30 years of proven athlete development was really the reason I fully bought into the Parisi method. They're just the best, and they're not fancy, and they get the job done. And so I don't have to really become a performance coach. I can stay trampoline and tumbling coach and do exactly what I need to do, and then just trust their curriculum with these guys, and the results speak for themselves.
So if I was to pose a question to some of your athletes there, I'm not sure if they can hear us, but what about the training have you enjoyed? Have you noticed a difference in how it's affected you in gymnastics?
Okay, the Parisi training, how's it affected you in gymnastics? Any you want to answer? Yeah, you will.
For me, the biggest thing is there's a lot of muscles in the body that don't get as much activation through normal either working out or even in a lot of the things we do in tumbling. So whenever I do Parisi, I can really feel those muscles or split tendons, all that getting worked, which then helps me tumble, helps me have more control, helps me stay safer, and all those things that I need to continue and have a healthy and successful career in the future.
No, I think that sounds great. I've been affiliated in the sports performance world now for 16 years. 11 or 12 of those was Parisi. So you don't have to convince me on their methods and models. And I think as we speak right now, their summit is unfolding in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. So a lot of the coaches are up there learning and getting better as we speak.
Yes, sir. We have two of our speed coaches up there representing us. So they love the summit, and they're having a good time with it.
That's awesome. So Austin, what made you make the decision, hey, I want to get into this world of sports performance training and athletics? What did you feel, what did you see was missing down there in Georgia?
Well, I stumbled on it. There was a Parisi speed school nearby, and they had fallen on hard times with their building. They bought a really large building, and we're struggling to pay rent. So I already had an existing tumbling gym, and I had a performance program started. Dalton, Georgia is the carpet capital of the world, and that makes us also the turf capital of the world. and I had just moved into a large building and trying to pay for the building. And so naturally, I just threw some turf down and started performance training. And so what this other gym did is they moved in and started renting space. After about 6 to 8 months of renting space from us, they were like, hey, would you just like to buy our franchise? and it fit with what we did. So I went ahead and purchased the franchise, and the rest is history. That was about 11 years ago.
As a business owner of a sports performance facility, I can understand the challenges and pains of what that feels like.
Yeah, there has been plenty of challenge and pain throughout the years, but the Parisi Speed School has lasted with us, and you know, it's a good marriage business wise, because the Parisi Speed School is seasonal, but gymnastics and tumbling and that can be seasonal as well. And so the seasonals kind of offset in the business, and you know, my dad used to say we make hay when the sun shines. So when it's rolling, and when it's not, and we make it work business wise, you know.
I know that all too well.
So before the show, you introduced your athletes to us. You mind introducing your athletes to all the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Brock Rupert. He is a junior elite tumbler. He is a first-year junior. Junior elite is the designation from USA Gymnastics that means he is eligible for the national team trials. So they do a series of competitions, 3 competitions, where they rank the athletes, and then Team USA will send the top 4 athletes to junior worlds or world championships. So Brock is currently in the team trials in tumbling and double mini trampoline, and he will be ranked across this year, and he might earn himself a spot at the junior worlds. Currently, he's 2nd place. This is Luke Todd. He's been a elite tumbler and double mini trampolinist for 5 years now. You've been elite for 5? Probably. 4? Okay. And he is a brand new senior elite. So there is no cap on his age group now. So he's 16 years old, but he's competing against 25-year-old full-grown men that have been doing this a long time. But the good news is he's very competitive, and he'll show up this year. This is Haley, and Luke is 16. This is Haley. She's 16 as well. She is a 2nd-year elite tumbler, and she is also in those team trials as a brand new senior elite tumbler. So I am proud of these guys and just grateful to be along the journey with them.
So with the 2028 Summer Olympics fast approaching and being in the United States this time around in Los Angeles, are any of them potentially on the track to maybe represent our country? And if any of them want to speak, just have them move up a little closer to the microphone so all our audience can hear them as well.
Yes. So power tumbling and double mini are a world game sport, which is the stepping stone. Well, I wouldn't even call it a stepping stone. It is just as big of a platform as the Olympics. It's just less televised. They're actually, the athletes are motioning to my coach. Let me introduce him real quick. Right over. This is Derek Therian. He is a trampolinist. And trampoline is actually in the LA 28 Olympics. He's a senior elite trampolinist, and so you can see his gear here. He's wearing the Olympic insignia there, but he's in the team trials. But the Olympic team trials do not start until late 26.
A lot of things to look forward to there,
yes.
Huh? Yeah. So, Coach, either one of you can answer this question. What are some of the core principles that you like to guide towards your athletes every single day at your training facilities?
My core principles, man, if either of you guys want to speak, you definitely can, because I feel like core principles are something my athletes should say for me. But I'll start with just number of turns. We just, in business, you learn that you can do a whole lot of things that are not useful, but usually there's only 1 or 2 things that you have to do day in, day out that are useful. And gymnastics is similar. There, you can take a lot of turns of random things or drill work or just turns that don't matter, but usually there's 2 or 3 turns that really matter. And so one of my core principles is kind of attacking the turns that matter day in, day out in my life as a business owner, and also in our practice for gymnastics. Do any of you guys want to weigh in on core principles? You'd have to step up to the mic. Any core? Yeah.
That's all good. We understand. It can be a little intimidating sometimes on the microphone. No worries at all.
They're better at tumbling than they are at talking.
That's
it
okay.
is acceptable to ask for a pass behind me.
So another thing too, what do you think? What do you think the little things matter in the sport of gymnastics? I wrestled my whole life, so like a lot of the techniques, a lot of the little things are very important. But I know in gymnastics and tumbling and such, how important are those little things?
Shoot, the being elite is just being better at the basics. So when it comes to gymnastics, you should be able to ask my elites to do any level of the basics along the way that got them there. So really, like in football, they call it chopping wood, of course. Like you just got to do the turns in the basics because the basics show up in the big skills. So we've got to be able to take the big turns, but 90% of our practice is basic turns, and being better at the basics is what translates to being elite.
Another thing too I wanted to touch on is rest and recovery. Any of you guys can answer this question. I wrestling at the Division I level, I know how important that is. We actually spent a lot of time with the gymnastics team because we were in the same building. So I know what goes into that. Can you guys speak on that a little bit?
I'm actually, Derek, are you okay answering this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Rest and recovery.
Yeah, so rest and recovery is obviously very important. Being in a high demand sport of skill, we have to be able to always coming into the session fresh and ready to practice. And if we're coming into practice, we're tired, we didn't have a great diet, we're stressed about stuff outside of our practice stuff, like just our daily life, that'll all affect our practice. So we essentially will preach just the ability to maintain and compartmentalize those other outside factors. So just being able to, maybe whether it is tracking your food, just being conscious of like what you're doing, trying to go to bed on time, not staying up looking at your phone all night, just solving those things that you do have control of instead of just letting them spiral out of control. Like we are in control of our diet for majority of it. We are in control of our sleep. And then a lot of the outside stress things is like, well, if you have the ability to change it, you can change it. If you don't worry about it. Just kind of roll with the punches there, but doing our best to maintain those outside factors of recovery that play a role into our practices the best we can. There isn't anything in particular that we do that's, I would say, abnormal. We offer like foam rolling and stuff like that. We have a dedicated strength coach on staff, so he can help and assist our athletes with whatever they need at that time. But most of the time, it's just the basics, eating a good diet, sleeping correctly, and trying to reduce that outside stress of life. So I wouldn't say that we have anything special answer, just besides doing the basics really good yet again.
It's doing the boring things great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's doing the boring things great. So question to any one of the coaches, success in sports is a lot about physical ability versus mental mindset. Can you talk a little bit about how you balance that and share that with your athletes?
Physical ability versus mental mindset.
Yes.
Okay. So the talent is identified in these athletes really young. So like we can look at a preschool gymnastics class or even a early tumbling class, and we can pick out the 2 or 3 kids that have the tools to go high level, but most of them don't. And the reason most of them don't is the ability to tolerate a lot of pain is fundamental in this sport. And so, I mean, being a Division I wrestler, you would probably understand that concept, because wrestling is really similar to gymnastics in that way, where like you're sore, you're tired, you're in pain, and you show up and you have to do it again tomorrow and the next day.
Yep.
And there is basically no relief. And so obviously rest and recovery, but the ability to tolerate large amounts of pain and take a lot of turns is what separates them, because there's a lot of kids that have the tools, but a lot of them don't don't make it this far.
So can you guys touch on a little bit of what's the culture like at your guys' facility? I mean, every team has a different culture. Every gym has a different culture. What is your guys' culture?
I think we have fun. Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. I mean, like I just talked about pain, but your teammates alongside you, the camaraderie, like we can do hard stuff, we can do it together, but we can also have a good time doing it. So we have fun. Yeah.
Austin, if I can go back a moment, back to that mindset of the athlete, all athletes at some point are going to struggle. They're going to run into that, they're going to have a hard time along the way. How do you as a coach handle that? What are you really talking to them about, evaluating, looking at?
Yeah. So, I've got some Coach Austinisms when it comes to that. But I just sat down with an athlete a minute ago, and I was like, she was telling me she was afraid. And I was like, hey, fear's a mile wide, but an inch deep, right? So so taking those turns that lead up to the big turn that you're avoiding or the big turn you're afraid of is really how I approach that and how I coach that.
Have you ever coached an athlete who completely changed, your perspective on what was possible?
Absolutely. They're standing right here, honestly. So these three I have coached since they were toddlers, and then Derek is someone who transferred in this past year, but they have all changed my perspective on what is possible in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to talk about Brock first, real quick here. He's an elite tumbler, but for 3 years he stayed at level 8 tumbling and never completed a pass. So when I'm talking about like the ability to endure a lot of pain for long periods of time, like Brock did that in his level 8. So the gymnastic level system goes through 10, and then you apply for elite, and there's a committee that approves you elite. So he has come an incredible distance, and that's only the last 2 or 3 years. So he has changed my perspective on how long you can persevere in a level and then just take off. I'll go to Luke next. Luke, if you could see videos of him as a beginner gymnast, he came out of parkour, which is like elite gymnastics in our realm is very aesthetic, like pointed toes, straight legs, like shaping it. Like to come from parkour to elite gymnastics is not a jump that happens very often. But through the last few years, Luke has really spent an incredible amount of time working his shaping and the details and being elite, like we've talked about. And he will be the top tumbler in the U.S. within the next 2 to 3 years. So to come from his background to make it where he's at, incredible. Now, Haley's had a little bit more traditional path. She came from women's artistic art program, and then she moved to trampoline and tumbling. But Haley is incredibly strong and explosive. So she has kind of changed my perspective on what is possible for young female tumblers in our sport. Usually you see some weakness or underpowered or those type of things. But she stayed diligent in the weight room. She stayed diligent in speed school, and she just tumbles really hard. And so she's changed my perspective on that. And then Derek, he's a trampolinist only, so he doesn't tumble. He came from what they call G-Tramp. G-Tramp stands for garden trampoline. He's got some viral videos. Maybe you want to look them up. But like him in his backyard by himself, just flip until he can't no more. And he did that up in Michigan. He has never truly had a coach in the sense that these three or other gymnasts have. He is basically self-coached all the way up to a senior elite men's trampoline level. And so his ability to show up day after day, he logs every turn in a spreadsheet and videos it and critiques himself. And everybody needs a coach. Even Tiger Woods has a coach. So he bounces things off me and his other trusted coaches, but he does everything himself. So yeah.
If I may,
Yeah.
Derek, if this question's for Derek, that level of discipline that you're showing, can you talk a little bit about where did that come from?
Yeah, so it really is just love of the game. I absolutely love the progress. I love the process, just being every single day coming in and doing absolutely what's necessary. Even if the turns aren't the most fun to me, what's fun to me is the fact that I know that turn will make me better. And that turn then becomes fun to me, even though like on paper, it didn't sound fun at the first point, but then I was like, oh, I'm so happy to get after it. And like, I don't know if the discipline came from anywhere. I came from artistic gymnastics before I did the freestyle trampoline or G-tramp. And I really was not at all self-disciplined in that sport at all. I was slacking off at any possibility, giving my coaches a headache. And then when I took the step back and I did freestyle trampoline because I wanted to, and I wouldn't say that I was forced to do artistic gymnastics by any means, but it started to feel like a chore to me. It just wasn't what I loved. And so once I found the freestyle trampoline, I kind of just like rekindled that love for the process. And nobody was forcing me to be out there on my trampoline in my backyard. It was just, I wanted to get this skill. My friends wanted to get skills. So we just trained until we couldn't. And then I was given the opportunity to come back to the sport on the trampoline and tumbling side. And it's kind of just carried over with me. And just for the idea of going to the Olympics has been pretty much enough for me to just stay dedicated, where I don't even feel like it's as much discipline as every single day I still wake up motivated. I haven't really had a practice in the last year, or even in my recollection of the past, where I haven't wanted to go. It's never been even a slight battle for me to show up for practice every day, which is something I'm really grateful for, because obviously discipline is a lot harder than motivation, but the motivation seemed to have lasted me for the last 4 years of training completely alone. So I don't really have anything to say on the discipline side. Granted, yes, I've been very meticulous with my tracking of my turns. Nobody's requiring me to track my turns, my diet, my sleep, any of that. It's just me wanting to get better, and I know that's what's necessary to do the next steps. So yeah, it's not always the most fun to track my food, or, oh, I would love to have this ice cream, but I just don't. It's just because, like, or I want to play video games with my friends at night, but I go to bed anyway. And that is where the discipline side comes in. But it's all for the fact that I love trampoline and I love training. And I know that doing those other things will never reward me with as much joy as having a good practice the next day. So I just kind of weigh out those things and make those decisions where, like, in the moment, it's like, oh yeah, I'd really love to eat this. Oh, I'd really love to stay up and watch Instagram. But then I'm like, but I would really love to have a great practice tomorrow. So it's like putting it into that framework instead of being so caught up in the short term of that short fulfillment. It's that delayed gratification that I think that I have that really allows me to stay disciplined and stay motivated, and just really lets me set myself apart from maybe some other athletes that are struggling to get to the elite level.
For the love of the game.
That is one of the truer definitions I've ever heard of that mentality of training in the dark, where no one sees what you're doing. You're not publicizing it, but then when the lights turn on, you're there to perform. I've never heard that question answered the way I just did. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that answer.
Thank you.
So kind of talking about, you guys said viral videos earlier. It's the world of social media is growing, right? With the world of social media and then constant comparison, how do you help your athletes stay focused on long-term development and their goals? And a little bit on that social media topic.
Oh, so social media is a driver, and it is sometimes can be negative when it is a driver. So I do try to to post my athletes some, to share what they post, but social media is really kind of dependent on the user, and so some athletes thrive using social media incorporated in their training, and some get paralyzed by posting and by the people that could see their turns, or those type of things. So I try to tailor my recommendations to my athletes based on their personality types and whether it's useful for them or not.
So, Austin, building slightly off that question a bit, myself included, having been in the sports performance world now for 16 years and have dealt with many athletes, parents, opinions, as I'm sure you have yourself. What's a hard truth around the development of the athlete that most parents don't want to hear?
Hard truth around the development of the athlete. Um, Shoot, for if I'm giving a message to parents, it would be the hard truth would be that they cannot control any outcomes. Absolutely zero control of any outcome. You can be the best parent or the worst parent, and your athlete is still going to do whatever they're going to do. So just be the best parent outside of athletics, and let the athletics kind of take care of themselves without expectation. That would be my hard truth.
Derek kind of touched on this, and I'd like to know if any one of your athletes behind you would like to step up and answer this question. Um, you know, John, having played having competed at the Division I level, myself at the Division II level for baseball, we understand what it takes. A lot of kids, parents think showing up once or twice a week is enough to get to the next level. Can any one of your athletes speak to the hard work, the commitment, and the dedication of how often they're training and what that sacrifice is for them?
What does it take to get to the next level? Haley, you're in.
For me,
Yeah, stand close and talk loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's more of like, since I have so much like schoolwork and I want to do the best I can for school because I want to get into a good college, and like coming to training 24/7 like after school can be hard on me, but I just put like what I want for myself in the future. And also with that, like since I choose tumbling over anything, I I get to miss out a lot on like school stuff, and I miss out like friends' birthdays. I miss out on like going on holidays, but it's kind of all worth it because for this past year I was able to travel places I've wanted to in the future, and it was very like fun because I got to meet new people that I love very much, and I can cherish like a friendship with them, and like it just like kind of balances like out. And like growing up, I did have like struggle with that because I wanted to do things like my other friends were here in Dalton, and like I learned that it's not the same for me. We're not in the same boat, and just seeing that now kind of just helped me grow more as an athlete.
I would say kudos to you for figuring that out at such a young age, because it takes people a very long time to realize that. So congratulations on figuring that part out, because the fun you thought you missed out on by not going to parties or school activities, I think you realized was a lot better by putting in the hard work and effort by traveling to go to other places that you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
And that sacrifice will bring you to the next level. Talking about the next level a little bit, a big topic is recruiting. What does that look like in the gymnastic world, the tumbling world, kind of building into that recruiting, getting into a college?
So there is not a collegiate version of anything that we do. So the top of the game for us is Team USA. So most everybody in our sport comes from a private club like our own, and then into USA Gymnastics as an elite. There is some college club versions, but they are more like recreational versions and less like what we do. But USA Gymnastics does fund the athletes on their teams. So there is a good way to do this in college. But you have to make the team, and you have to get funded, and you got to make placements for international travel.
Gotcha.
So, Austin, when athletes come through your facility,
Yeah.
what impact you hope they carry when they leave?
Ooh, I hope that they have had an impact on their other teammates in the gym. But everybody leaves at some point, and if you don't coach, you move on into your daily lives. And so I really hope that these athletes will carry the lessons and the resilience and the ability to take the things they learned in gymnastics and bring it to a workplace or a family or those type of things, and just leave better people as a result of what we did.
a question that we like to ask, but we don't usually get this opportunity to have actual athletes of the high school age a part of the show. So maybe one of them can answer this for us. What advice would you give to fellow peers, regardless of sport, to find success in what they're doing?
Advice, Rock?
Um,
Yeah, step up. Yeah.
Some advice that I would say is to not physically care about it as much as you do for everything else that you do, because if you care about it too much, it can really mess up your mental health with competing, and it can cause you to mess up during competition, and you can lose your placement.
And if I was to pose that question to Austin, Derek, either one of you from a coaching perspective, what's that message you would say as well?
Yeah, just being able to compartmentalize yet again the sport and your actual life. They're not always so intertwined as everybody likes to believe. Or like even me, I struggle sometimes. If I have a bad practice, it may affect my mood that day or whatever it is. But I need to realize that there's other things in life that you can enjoy. And there's more to life than just training your sport. So just being able to realize that there's more to life and finding the joy in the other things, I think is a real game changer regarding the mental health side of it. And just, again, competing for the enjoyment of the sport. And if it doesn't go well, it's not the end of the world, where even though it feels like it at the time. So just finding joy in other things, I think, is the key.
I would really agree with that. I think you would be amazed if you came in and sat in a practice and listened to our conversations. Most of the time when the athletes roll in, I might say, for example, today, they had one goal was to hit a full pass, one or two of their passes. And then outside of that, I talk to them about their days or what they're learning in school or what they did at their friend's house the other day, or like there is very little coaching in the ways that you might see us out here, and that's a way to stay doing this for a long time.
I would agree, and I'm very happy to hear you say that, because John was one of my athletes. I guess I can say was, because he's no longer really competing anymore. But that's what made our training not feel like training, and that's what made training with all the athletes I've worked with. Yes, we have a job to do, and we have to focus on what that is. But at the same time, I think kids are not heard. So asking them how their day was, where they're struggling, what's their favorite subject, what are they doing this weekend, I don't think the adults are asking those questions too often. So hearing you say that is very refreshing. I'm happy to hear that you guys are spreading that same message down there in Georgia.
Yes, and I would, for example, trampoline and tumbling can be really brutal as far as bad competitions. So all of these guys can name countless ones where we have trained for months and months, maybe even years, for a single pass. We have showed up at that meet to hit that pass, and that pass doesn't go, or it crashes. And that is a reality of our sport. And if the only thing I care about as a coach is that single turn, then we have nothing at the end of that pass. And so I work harder to care about them as people, and to disconnect from the outcome, even though we're working really hard for that outcome. They're no less valuable as athletes, whether they hit or whether they crash,
Absolutely.
So, Coach, kind of tying into that conversation a little bit, when everything is said and done, what do you want from Culprit Athletics to represent?
When everything is said and done, okay, I do hope that my brand carries on after I'm gone. So some owners build businesses to sell. I want to build a good business, but I do want to build it to carry on without me. And so I have a strong system built that I'll work on for the rest of my life. And I do have a retirement plan, but it's not the standard build the business to sell to make $1 million.
Gotcha.
Well, Austin, Derek, and crew, we really do want to thank you for taking this time to be a part of what we're doing here and on this destination and journey that we have as well. I would be remiss not to at least send a shout out to a mutual friend, Eric Mitchell.
Yeah.
who appeared on this podcast, episode 23, with us. So I want to thank Eric for bringing us together. The best of luck, all the success in the world to everyone as you guys are preparing for your future endeavors. Austin, safe travels out to Ohio as you embark on that trip from here. And we really want to thank you again for your time. And with that, there is a wrap on episode 48 of Destination Talk. Until we meet again.
Mile 21 Media.